Who is the most powerful video game protagonist?
I think Huck's trying to slam the door shut on the argument says the mayor of SimCity, which is the name they give to you, the player. You're God in SimCity. So
I can build 4 walls around you with no exit.
I can make your girlfriend leave you and you'll lose your job. And
unparalleled power.
I can make traffic.
So, really good time with that. Thank you, Alpha Data, for that.
8-way intersections with no stop signs.
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world!
We're a retro video gaming podcast where 3 guys run around like Naruto, and we're linking up to talk to everybody about games we love. We're your hosts. I'm Steve.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Don.
And this is episode number 15. Let me paint a picture for you guys.
Uh-huh.
It's 1989.
Yeah.
I wasn't born yet, but I can imagine.
Oh, sucks to be you. I was.
I was born in the year. It's the age of Pizza Hut delivery and sleepovers with your friends. Watching movies like Ghostbusters 2, The Wizard, Back to the Future 2. You know, usually you guys are playing games like Super Mario 3 or Legend of Zelda. You know, maybe some Mega Man 2. Those classics. But not this weekend. This weekend, you learn what it's like to have an older brother. You get beat down mercilessly for hours straight until you can't take it anymore. You and your friend decide to quit. It's just too hard. It was your first real entry into the realm of difficulty. But you were determined to return. And return you did. But each time, defeat was waiting. This week, we're talking about Ninja Gaiden.
Gaiden? Gaiden?
Not Gaiden. Gaiden.
Gaiden?
Gaiden.
Gaiden.
It's our random encounter episode, so it came off of our retro decks. And I'm really excited. I hope you guys are too.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's as excited as you are, Steve.
Yeah, well, get ready to upload data from us to you. But first, Don, take it away with announcements.
All right, we have only a few announcements this week. So we're upping the ante on our bonus episode bribe. So the normal sub goal stuff, and if you're just joining us today, the sub goal stuff are if we get 100 subs on YouTube, we will release another bonus episode, just as we did when we reached 50 subs. That is the Contra Operation Galuga episode over on our YouTube and any podcasting platforms. Go check those out. And if we get 50 subs on another podcasting platform, we will release a new episode, right? So that's 100 subs on YouTube or 50 subs on another podcasting platform. So the same group of y'all who sub to us on YouTube could go sub on another platform, and that'll really help us out a lot, even if you don't use that other platform. And you'll get a bonus episode out of it. This also counts for our Discord. We're currently up to, I think it's 32 members, if we're not counting the bots. I think it's 38 with the bots, and there's 6 bots. So 32 members in Discord. So if we just get 50 members in Discord, we'll release another bonus episode. Here's where I'm upping the ante. So we need some dedicated folks to head on over to either Apple or Spotify and leave us some ratings/reviews, even if they are totally truthful. If we suck, we're okay with hearing it. But we prefer kind ones. They really keep us going. But if we get 10, just 10 ratings, rating or reviews
You can count it on two
on
hands.
one of those platforms. It'll really help us out a lot, really help us get discovered, and we'll release another bonus episode for you if we get 10 of those. So thanks very much for the support so far, and that's kind of our course charting forward. You may also have noticed that we aired our last episode on a Monday. Formerly, we were airing our episodes on Friday. This is because our old schedule was film on Friday, release on the following Friday. We're a bi-weekly podcast. So in order to make our episodes a little bit more fresh, a little bit more relevant, we're going to film on Friday and post on Mondays.
Yeah,
And
it keeps us ahead of the news.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, that way we're not playing the game of the week a week before everybody else knows about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And finally, we're starting another listener pool. If you want to participate in the listener pool, join our Discord with the link below. The Discord community is not just for the podcast, but it is definitely your Cable Club home base. It is definitely how you're most likely to interact with the show and help shape our opinions on the show and engage in the conversation about the games. But it's also just a platform where people can get together and play games and talk about games of all kinds, not necessarily retro. And there's friendly gaming spaces and meme channel and news and everything else and all that good stuff. It's been a really good time having that Discord. So join in that growing community and just click the link below. It's free.
Absolutely.
We love free.
We do.
It is America, after all.
How many things are free nowadays? Free friends, right?
Yeah.
I promise we're not hitting people up for Patreon. Not yet. So, yeah. Come on in.
The door's open.
I'm going to kick it off to Dan for question of the week because I'm done talking.
Well, before that, though, if you want to skip the news and question of the week, make sure that you use the timestamps below, or I'll put the timestamps in the audio platforms too, like Spotify and Amazon Music and all that too.
I don't know if that's going to work.
Well, it'll be in the description.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you'll
that
be able
could
to
work.
look at the description of the episode, and it'll give you the times.
Sweet.
Great. Use your little slidey thingy or click on the timestamps. And I'm working on creating a Discord role for skippers. So if you are a skipper, you can wear that badge
Yep.
loud and proud, and we can judge you for it.
Yep. I'm gonna judge you hard for that. All right. So, question of the week. This question comes from Alpha Data. Who is the most powerful video game protagonist? Oh, that
Very
I feel like-
straightforward.
I feel like that's a hard one. Like, there's just so many like Omega level like protagonists out there.
So like just some rules first, all right? Because I don't think video game protagonists are as powerful as like comic book protagonists, but comic books have games. So let's leave like licensed characters out of this. Like the characters in question have to have either started on a video game,
Yeah. That's fair.
or just primarily known for being in a video game.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start us off. I'm actually going to pick Kirby because he's ridiculous. Like, he's like indestructible, has infinite power. What else has he done? He can easily breeze past like through the speed of light. Can travel planets in mere seconds. He can become a black hole. And he's basically Mega Man. He can absorb anyone's power at will.
All right, so Mega Man is Bush League in this contest. I feel like, first of all, but
Hey, he's a fighting robot.
like Kirby has killed. Are you guys familiar at all with like Neil Gaiman's series on like Dream?
No.
All right, so there's like primordial forces that are like Dream and Death, and like there's just stuff that makes the universe work together, right? Kirby has like laid waste to beings that boast being on this same primordial level that sits above like gods.
Yeah.
Like he's killed like the being of nightmares. He's killed multiple beings claiming to be chaos itself. Like he does have a pretty high ridiculous like Rogues
And-
Gallery.
And what I think is funny too is like if you guys ever played like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, like the beginning cutscene opening, basically all the characters in the game get obliterated except Kirby. So it just puts it in perspective. Like,
Well, I mean,
I mean, it's
Sakurai
Tuesday for
made
Kirby.
Sakurai made Kirby as well, so
yeah,
you know he could be playing favorites.
Well, you know,
possibly
things-
could be.
Things like the Subspace Emissary are, you know, just a weekly occurrence for the Kirby universe.
That's true.
What do you
All
got,
right.
Steve? Who's your elect for the strongest video game protagonist?
So, like, now that Dan said that, mine's not on the same level. But I was gonna say, was gonna ask if you guys count Supersonic, even though
I
he
would,
needs the
yeah.
Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
part of it's
yeah.
kind of part of the character. Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, I think Supersonic's pretty insane. He can fly around in space, indestructible, you know, insanely fast. Like, I don't know.
yeah. He
He
was
seemed-
actually one of my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Get
Sonic
that
was.
ring timer limitation though.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Canon-wise, I don't know if it counts. Like, the rings are a limitation for you as the player, but I don't think canon-wise it matters.
I seem to remember a comic book back in the day where he did actually have to have 50 rings to generate the power.
Well, he
to
doesn't in
use
the
Chaos
movie, so
Emeralds.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who knows? It's
He's in
strange.
space too, like in like I think Sonic Adventure 2. Like I don't know
Yeah,
for sure, but I don't
and
think
in
you.
Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Yeah, I don't think you need rings for that either.
He's an
Uh,
interesting case because like he definitely outscales the crap out of his villain in that
Yeah.
form. Like Robotnik doesn't have a machine that
I
stands
know.
up to Supersonic ever. So it's
It's
tough
kind of
with
weird
that
that
one.
like how some like evil beings like figure out like a weakness to like this like super strong like character like Sonic, like Dr. Robotnik, like seriously. Yeah, like he can run at the speed of light and stuff. There's like literally nothing you can do, I feel like. Or how about him outrunning Sonic like in one of the last levels? I think in like Sonic 2.
I always think
Sonic
of Death
1.
Egg Zone, yeah, in Sonic 2.
That scared for your life, right?
You cheat for rings in that, and you beat Metal Sonic, and you still chasing after Robotnik, and he makes it to his giant Robotnik machine.
Oh,
I remember I
man.
wanted to
Absurd.
get him so bad when I was a kid playing Sonic 3. I was like, there he is, get him.
Charging your spin dash.
Yeah.
He's too fast.
So I have potentially two, depending on how you guys accept my first answer. So my first answer is going to be the Nephilim from the Diablo 3 game specifically, because I think that's the most outrageous your character has ever been in
Sure.
a Diablo game. Like, they basically walk into rooms and everything dies. And if you're gonna, buy into the idea that hell and heaven are like these like extra level like universes outside of our own universe, right? Like, they just completely lay waste to both angels and devils. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But I guess what's canon and what's the player playing in their own custom character, like, I don't really know. So if you don't like
Right.
that answer, I'm going to offer up the Doom Slayer, who is so outrageous that he definitely has canonically killed several angels.
I love that answer.
Just devil after devil, and he does it with his bare hands. And apparently, I don't know that much about the lore, but the guns can only do it because he's holding them. Like, it's special that he's the Doom Slayer. And I don't know exactly how, but he's also the leader of hell. That he has to like kill himself, and then like I think somehow the cycle repeats. Basically, like he's just the baddest thing
Wow.
ever. So,
And he just looks like a regular dude.
yeah. Well, he looks like a really big jack dude on way more steroids than Earth has produced thus far.
He's like Bill Reiser.
Way bigger than Bill.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's huge. Yeah, so that's what I got. So those are our answers. We had some good answers from our audience too. Lysanthia said Ashura from Ashura's Wrath. Do you guys know that game at all?
I've played like a demo of it like years back, and that game's actually ridiculous because it's like from what I remember, it's like you're fighting gods and like you're literally like teleporting from like planet to planet, like beating the snot out of each other. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember one scene in particular. I guess you fight both Dark Ryu and Akuma because it's a Capcom game in like some of the DLC, and Akuma like punches Ashura in the face and like smashes him to the ground and splits the moon with that force.
Yeah, I would say that's a good pick.
Yeah, no, he's up there. Windguard says possibly Kratos.
Yeah, isn't he a god slayer?
Yeah,
he kills gods
and
all the time.
Also a god himself. He kills gods like it's his job. I don't know. They're like God's lowercase g though. You know.
Yeah.
They're not like the celestial level gods. He's not hopping around on planets. I think he's a little overblown. He does die and like come back like 6 times though, like by literally climbing out of hell.
Yeah,
So,
that's pretty badass.
There's that.
So, Doom Guy versus Kratos.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I think it would
guns
be
are
a good
too
slugfest. Wingard also says that the Prince of the Cosmos from Katamari Damacy is severely slept on. I kind of agree with that too. I mean, if you're impressed by Ashura hopping planets, then surely you're impressed by the strength at scale of the Prince of the Cosmos pushing a ball that contains the mass of planets.
Yeah, who knows? Ashura might be in one of his balls that he's rolling.
Na 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 the Katamari Damacy. Game's
And then
fun.
finally, I think Hux, trying to slam the door shut on the argument, says the mayor of Sim City, which is the name they give to you, the player, you're God in Sim City. So
I can build 4 walls around you with no exit.
I can make your girlfriend leave you and you'll lose your job. And
Unparalleled power.
I can make traffic.
so really good time with that. Thank you, Alpha Data, for that.
8-way intersections with no stop signs.
So, as you listener may have surmised, our question of the week comes from our listeners, hopefully. So you can get your question of the week answered either by writing into the Cable Club Podcast at gmail.com or more favorably, getting on the Discord and joining in the conversation. You can just pose a question in the question of the week Discord anytime you feel like doing so. And, if there's multiple questions in a week, there's only ever been one so far. We'll just pick the best one with the best responses.
Hell yeah.
You guys ready to get into some gaming news? All right, our first bit of news this week is on Helldivers 2. Did you guys catch any of this story?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little.
All right, so I don't play it, but basically what I gathered was, Sony was trying to crap on Helldivers 2 players to have exclusive access to that player pool. People, I guess when the game was announced, they had said that, temporarily it was going to be available and then players are going to have to link their accounts to the PlayStation Network. And
Right.
I guess they never mentioned it. They never mentioned anything about it since. I listened to another podcast this week that actually talked about this issue a little bit more in depth. And it's just not really easy to see that that's the deal if you're buying Helldivers 2, right? And basically, a bunch of players were could possibly have lost their accounts and all of their playtime because they were just going to remove it from the Steam store. And many players had put in a lot more hours than what Steam usually allows for a refund, although Steam was really good about it and was offering people a refund. I think that they just kind of realized that it was a really crappy scenario. So yay, Steam and Valve.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I guess it resulted in the negative reviews for that game, basically decatupled pretty much
skyrocketed
overnight and
Right.
dragged the reviews of that game down. They completely bombed it.
And it's not even like the fault of the developers or anything. It's just
No,
Unfortunate.
no, they were
Well,
kind
you
of
know, what
on
do you
the,
do, right? You know,
Yeah.
you have to kind of you can't let this type of stuff slide.
right.
You know, and it slid so bad that, you know, Sony basically heel turned on that and now they're leaving it in place.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show you that, like, the customers really have the power, to overturn things. So it's like, if you don't like microtransactions in your games, you can do something about it. You get a band
Yeah.
together.
Don't buy it.
I think of like Scary Sonic from like when the first Sonic game, when the first Sonic movie was coming out, and they had that really like
Yeah.
that really ugly Sonic. That's the other thing that I feel got review bombed so badly they had to change it.
You'll see, like, they tried to make it, like, proportionate like a hedgehog's face, but that's not what Sonic really looks like, so it was just offensive.
But yeah, you have the power. See something, say something. Don't let them get away with that.
No way, Jose.
But
Who's Jose?
I don't know. We'll find out someday.
really cool that Valve was willing to take care of its customers for the most part.
Valve is so awesome.
Yeah, I feel like Valve usually is on the right side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead's good too.
It's crazy. Like, what is it? Left 4 Dead 2? Like that like scene is still going strong. And how old is that game?
Almost old enough to be on the podcast. Our next headline are Switch 2 rumors. I'm seeing tons of Switch 2 rumors. I'm getting excited for it. Apparently, there's going to be some form of announcement for the next Switch console within the next fiscal year, which is March of 2025.
Yep.
So, I don't want to say any day because it's still a long ways off, and they might sandbag it, but we'll see.
Right.
Yeah, there are rumors that it won't be out until like after April next year, but that was like a mistranslation. So it's like a misinformation all over, but there isn't a date yet.
No.
And, a lot of the features are still kind of
Right.
contested.
I actually have a list here of like all but confirmed rumors. If you guys want to listen to it.
Let's go.
All right. So the screen will be 8 inches LCD, at least on one launch model. We'll use DLSS version 3.5 to improve performance and support ray tracing. So I don't know if you like ray tracing in your games. I guess you'll get that with the Switch 2.
I actually wanted to pause there for a second. So yeah, I was that same other podcast that I was listening to, the Nerd Nest, was actually talking all about that. And that's essentially like a built-in upscaling type of technology, as opposed to just like natively outputting.
Yeah.
So I think the long and short of it is, it sounds like you'll be able to get better graphics with less power and less space.
Yeah, that's always good. Yeah, hopefully it says all but confirmed, so hopefully that, we get that. This one's kind of interesting. It'll use magnets to attach the new Joy-Cons instead of like the rails.
I'm falling off here. I'm falling off.
So, makes me wonder, like, these magnets must be pretty strong, because it's like, if you're going to lose those, that's going to suck. But we'll see. 4K support while docked.
Good.
Yeah, it uses the new NVIDIA Tegra T239. I guess that's just like a new NVIDIA card that's coming out with the Switch 2. That was all but confirmed. I have other stuff here, but it's less confirmed. So, I don't know if we want to go into that.
I think it's crazy how people find this stuff, that they go and they look at like supply orders.
Yeah.
Essentially, and figure out where it's going, and that's how they kind of start this. Maybe I just have a different impression of how leaks happen, but maybe this is it. But I find it fascinating to watch. I think this is the first set of leaks that I've followed closely. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Please be portable, please. I do not want a not portable console.
I think they'd be hard pressed not to, because if you consider the Switch the way it is, they're kind of the leaders in that, like, that in between of portability and stationary, TV play. And I think that they need to stay on top of that. I think it's kind of like their gimmick that they've pioneered, and I think that they're the ones that are, need to stay ahead of the game. I think they'll do that.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when they have like Pokemon and the younger audience too. So
I mean, there really are no more handhelds, right? Like, I mean, there are handheld PCs, and that market is taking off, right? Like the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck, and I've known about several other companies forever.
You want to know why? I think iOS and phones pushed out a lot of the handheld gaming market. So, like, tons of people play iOS and phone games. I'm not one of them, but huge revenue on all those apps and stuff.
Well, I mean, I'd consider the 3DS to be like Nintendo's last true handheld system, right? And then it just kind of stops because the Switch does both. So I think they're kind of, hopefully they do keep up with that. The handheld feature is one of the reasons I can play, basically most of the games that I want to play on that system.
I'm sure they will.
So good.
Yeah, I've heard that that it's not necessarily the case yet. Nobody knows, but they're talking about. Well, there was a statement from the president of Nintendo saying that they are going to, for the foreseeable future, have digital and physical copies. It's not going to be like one of those Xbox trying to go digital only. Nintendo's not doing that. They never want to do that. They want to make it accessible for every kind of gamer that likes to play it any way they like or purchase it any way they like.
Yeah, that's good.
That was a statement from him that I came across.
Yeah, I can stand behind that.
And that it's very heavily speculated that they're going to keep the online accounts and the online systems the same, but not necessarily sure yet whether or not it's going to be backwards compatible.
But please.
Yeah. It has to be.
That's like number 2. Like, 1, portability. 2, backwards compatibility. That's it for me.
Yeah.
Still waiting on that.
It seems people are getting confident in that, though, and I don't know if that's part of the tech leaks, because there must be like readers for these kinds of things, or parts, or whatever, or shells, what have you. But I've noticed that this batch of rumor mill is pretty confident in the backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
Plus, if you have your online account and you have digital games and you can play them on it, it stands to reason you'd be able to play your cards too.
Yeah.
I like collecting for the Switch. I love the size of the cases. I love the uniformity. I love the way they look on the shelf. I'm glad they don't want to just go digital, because I don't know. I just have this attachment to physical games if I can get a hold of them.
I have like 40 Switch games. I have so many.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
There was one more thing that I wanted to talk about is, but I'll save it. What other unconfirmed rumors did you have, Dan?
Let me see here. Alright, so I got rumors that need more sources. It says 1 new button on the back of each Joy-Con.
Like underneath?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a controller like that. I don't use those buttons.
1 new button below the home button. Kickstand will have a damping bracket. I'm not sure what that means. And I don't know about this one. This one seems kind of crazy. Pokemon is already working on 3 projects on the new console.
So I wonder if Pokemon Z... Do we know if Pokemon ZA is confirmed going to be on the next system, or do we know if it's actually coming to the regular Switch?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know of much news about it.
Okay. All those unconfirmed rumors sound absolutely boring.
Yeah.
The kickstand, who cares? Who uses the kickstand?
Is that tabletop mode? No, if I'm going to set it down on the table, I'm just going to put it in the dock.
You're just sitting there with your Pro Controller playing on your little 7-inch screen? No, get out of here.
Oh, the kid needs the TV.
Yeah.
So, like, some of the games that I'm excited to hear about are a new Mario game, like a 3D Mario game. It's been like 7 years, 8 years almost since
Yeah, time
Mario
flies.
Odyssey. Yeah, and Metroid Prime 4 is a
Yeah,
potential,
I'm waiting for that one.
and
I saw a headline earlier that was like Metroid Prime 4 will have sprawling locations to explore, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of what that game does. Did you know Samus will be in it too?
No, really?
She'll
What
probably have a grapple hook and a charge shot.
innovative.
yeah, I'm excited for
Groundbreaking,
it. But
truly. So my next headline is one that I'm excited about, and the Hades 2 early access released this past week, and I've been playing the crap out of it. I almost got through a completed run. I'm only like 12 runs in, but yeah, I'm really loving it. You guys play any Hades 2?
No, I saw you play it for a little bit, and it looks really good. I might have to pick it up.
So what you might not have seen too is that like you kind of saw like the regular game, the gameplay and all the combat, which is fun. But
Yep.
like as you go back to your hub world and as you go through the maze and you collect items and you like you can like there's a whole like gifting system and an interacting system and like the story kind of like materializes around the roguelike in a way that like I don't think any other roguelike really does it. And I think that was part of the success of the first one and they really kept it intact. But you know, if you want to get it, it's $30. I think it's probably going to stay $30. The original really hovered around there for most of its life. So I know if you get it in early access, I'm pretty sure you won't have to pay again. I've already seen one update as I've been going through it. So yeah, it's good
Yeah,
stuff.
that's great.
Great game, great music, slaps.
Oh, yeah, it really does.
I don't want to spoil too much, but I got to the second boss, and that music is like getting love made to your ears the way you want it. In a rough sort of way. It's really good. All right. Well, I think that about covers news.
I did want to say one more thing.
Oh, yeah?
Have you guys been following the story about the guy with the first Neuralink transplant in his brain?
What do you mean? What's a Neuralink transplant?
He's been playing Civilization 4 against his friends with the. He's a paraplegic and he has an implant, a chip that lets him play online games and like interface with a computer with his brain.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
And he's been playing Slay the Spire too.
Really?
Yeah, you guys should look it up. It's pretty cool.
I'm definitely going to.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
interesting.
leave a link to that article in our description here because that's too crazy not to look at.
Right.
Yeah, I think he's had it for 120 days. He's the first person. So I haven't been following it closely, but I've seen a couple things on it.
Talk about portability. That's a Game Boy killer if I've ever heard one.
Don will be playing Pokemon while he's sitting at work.
All right, you guys ready to go? You guys ready to get this started? Talk about the game?
Absolutely.
All right, so today we're doing a random encounter format where we chose a game randomly from our list, and we're going to take it through our 5 categories, which today are, we've rearranged the order a little bit: gameplay, pacing, presentation, playability, and X Factor. Name still pending on X Factor. We're not talking about it. We'll explain
No,
what those
sir.
categories are as we go through them. But first, a quick overview of Ninja Gaiden. Gaiden?
Gaiden.
Initially called Ninja Ryukenden, which translates as Ninja Dragon Sword Legend, which is pretty epic. I think there should be
Yeah.
a metal song called Ninja Dragon Sword Legend. Maybe there is. And this series had 5 games by the time 1991 rolled around. It has had 21 releases in total to date, including a master collection, which is available for Steam, but it's the 3 newer games. And it's a platforming game where you move from left to right, right to left, down to up to down, killing everything in your way, fighting bosses at the end of stages, that type of a game. And believe it or not, it actually spawned a novel, although there were a series of novels at that time around NES games. It also spawned a comic book series in 2014 by Dark Horse Comics around the game Ninja Gaiden Z, which is a later installment, which I also believe was released around the 2014 time period. So big franchise, bigger than I knew. I just haven't been following it. I knew this title, forever, but I didn't realize that there was so much Ninja Gaiden out there.
Yeah,
That's like the only thing I could think of from Tecmo.
Dead or Alive?
I haven't played them, but I know the name of it, that series. But
also fun fact: it's called Ninja Gaiden over here, not Ninja Ryukenden. Gaiden roughly translates into side story, but I don't know why. I mean, back in this era, there's like a lot of strange things about translating Japanese culture over here in Japanese words. I don't understand why Ryukenden was so hard to say, but apparently it was too hard to say, or they didn't think it was going to market well, so they called it Gaiden, and they didn't intend for it to be like a side story, and they didn't change anything, but they just liked the word Gaiden, and they thought it sounded cool. And that's a direct quote from Masato Kato, who is the lead developer of Ninja Gaiden.
that's his game. Do what he wants with it.
I mean, there are other games with Gaiden in it. I'm thinking of like Darius Gaiden right now too, which also sounds pretty darn cool, right? Like I want to play Darius Gaiden.
Yeah, Darius side story.
Although I do think that one is a side story, technically. Might be correct use of the word.
That's a shmup, right?
It is an arcade shmup. It's very hard.
Just like this game.
Yeah, it's in spirit. All right, so let's not spoil it too much. Let's get into the gameplay. Steve, you're going to kick us off with the gameplay because you've beaten this thing into the ground over the last 2 weeks. So, got to hear your thoughts on this first.
All right, so with Ninja Gaiden's gameplay, like Don was saying, it's like a platformer, left and right, attacking. In this game, you have one kind of jump, and if you're jumping forwards, it's pretty controllable. But if you go backwards, not so controllable. And that's like the biggest hurdle in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's
like,
kind of...
Did you guys experience that? Like, having a hard time with the movement going backwards when you jump? That's like...
It's kind of... Yeah, it's kind of like Castlevania-esque. I mean, like, Castlevania jumps more committal. Like, once you go that way, there's no going back. So it's kind of like a Castlevania hybrid to where it's like you are committed going forward, but if you do press backwards, you don't go as far back if you press back. Not near as fast.
Yeah, and if we're talking about controls, right? It's an NES controller. You have two buttons, jump and swing your sword, right? And then Ryu, the main character, Ryu Hayabusa, has two modes, stop and run fast. And when you jump at the same velocity that he's running at, and then you can kind of control that velocity. But honestly, as far as video game jumps go, he's not in the air for very long. Like, if you think of like Contra and you think of Mario, like, you don't have a lot of hang time with that.
He's not floaty at all.
No.
Nope.
And then there's some meta controls that they don't tell you about, and it's not in the manual either. They're absolutely part of playing this game, and if you don't know about them, you need to know about them these days. The first is the wall jump, where you don't just jump from wall to wall, because that's like base. The game expects you to jump up and cling on a wall. Only Ryu can't climb hand over hand the way that like Knuckles can from Sonic and Knuckles. He can only jump off the wall. So if there's two walls close to each other, he can jump, like jump up them the way we all wish we could doing parkour. But there's a technique where if you're like jumping and you quickly slide your finger back, pretty much at the same time you hit jump, you can jump up the wall. And if you go watch a speed run of this thing, they're just like like jumping, like flying up the wall. They actually prefer to do that as opposed to climbing the ladders that litter the game, which is hilarious.
Yeah, it's faster. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to get that gripe out of the way with the jump, because it is the only controlling aspect of the game that I found challenging. Um, Other than that, the movement for Ryu is pretty smooth. If you're running and jumping and attacking, like, it feels smooth when you get it down. I
Yeah,
don't
it does.
the other big part is clinging to the walls, like Don was saying. That's like the biggest hazard for me.
Yeah,
Like, you
for me
don't
too.
want
Okay, I'm glad you said something
Yeah,
because I was going there next.
Yeah, me too.
like if you jump into a certain kind of wall that you can cling to, you will cling to it, and that leaves you vulnerable for attacks and all that. It's like the stage hazards are the hardest part of the game.
There's
And
one stage, I think it's like 4-2 or something like that, where you like climb up a ladder and you go to the left. There's a platform above, and there's an enemy up there. I don't think you can actually get up to that platform without some kind of exploit, right? But then you're supposed to like go past a pillar and then jump over a gap. On the other side of the gap, there's a dude with a machine gun,
Yeah.
and he'll shoot at you, right? And I typically get past him with like a projectile weapon, because the other thing this game has are like Castlevania style special pickups you like whack candles for, and actually they are torches usually, or some kind of small animal that you behead for these
eagles that are
weapons, right?
smaller than the birds.
But
the
like,
hawks.
there's one spot where like if you jump over, like if you don't have any throwing weapons and you can't take that guy out, if you try to cross the gap, there's like a wall that you can cling to that's like right above him, and if you cling to that wall, you're dead. Like, there's just like the way that the guy on the bottom moves and he shoots, there's no way to land and hit him like with your sword. It's just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Happens.
You're talking about like 5-2, the green tower.
Oh yeah, maybe it's 5-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, the green tower. It's him, and then a bat, and then another bat, and then a cat, and there's
Yeah.
2 holes, right?
Yes, yeah. It's that exact one. Yeah.
My biggest gripe with the wall clinging was yes, you can like jump into them, but my biggest gripe was when you get hit, and you know how he has that knockback, that can also automatically cling you to a wall, and then like you can just get ganged up on and juggled at that point.
Birds
you don't-
pecking at you, guys shooting
Yeah.
you with machine guns, some guys throwing tomahawks at you.
It's like
You
Ryu.
have no iframes.
Yeah,
Like, you
it's like Ryu gets scared that he got hit, and he like tries to run up a pole like a cat or something.
Yeah, those are the bad parts. The good parts are it's fast paced, it's exciting, it feels really rewarding when you get the timing down for attacks. A couple different special weapons you get to pick from. Everybody likes the cyclone spinning
Oh,
attack.
it's so broken.
But that's good. The shuriken that swings back and forth is pretty good. The fire shield's pretty good. So different power ups. Unfortunately, it's not like Contra, Operation Galuga, where you collect a power up, your old power up pops out, so you get to go back if you didn't mean to pick it up. In this, if you pick up a new power up, your old one's gone.
Oh
You're
yeah,
stuck
I think
with it.
it's like exactly Castlevania, because you get a weapon in Castlevania, it deletes your old one, but then there's also a currency associated with it, right? Like Castlevania has hearts, and in this, I don't know, you have
Ninpo.
ramen noodle signs.
It's
whatever.
Ninpo for
pick 'em
ninja
up.
power.
Okay.
Yep.
I like my answer better.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
But yeah, and like once you're out of power, it doesn't matter what weapon you have. Really, it doesn't do anything for you.
right. How about the enemy placement in this game?
that's
like-
its difficulty. That's where
So
it gets the.
yeah, they put like enemies that are like weak in certain areas, but it just works because of the where they place them. Like Dawn was saying, the guy with the machine gun, like by himself, he's a joke. Like, he just
If
shoots
you were
3
fighting
bullets.
him on just a flat platform,
Yeah, he's a joke. But like just the where they put him, he is so potent in that area, and it just makes it like they do such a good job with like where enemy placement in this game is.
And the way I'm used to playing games, especially platformers back in these days, you see it, you kill it, right? Because it's just safer that way. If you can just kill the enemy and they're not on the screen. This game teaches you that you can't just do that. Like, you will absolutely lose if you try to kill every enemy on screen all the time. Like,
Yeah.
you just need to figure out which enemies you need to bypass, which ones you can jump over, and sometimes which ones you should take a hit from, because it gets you like out of a sticky situation because of that knockback. The knockback becomes a
Right.
boon in certain places, which is hilarious.
Yeah, you get to damage boost into, platforms that are higher, or up a ladder to get you into a new area
Right.
faster. And
So with like enemies, like I don't know if this was intended, but like if your edge of the screen's like on a spawn point and you like kill an enemy, it'll just keep spawning over and over and over.
I mean,
Like,
enemies respawn in NES games, but you've never seen anything like this if you haven't played it. This is above and beyond. It's almost like it was done intentionally.
right, but it also works in
probably
your
was.
it also works in your favor, like especially with like the bird enemies. Like if they fly by you and they're like way off to the other side, you can actually just run forward and just like despawn them. You can do that with a couple enemies in this game.
that's what Don's talking about. You don't need to kill everything.
Yeah.
You just need to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the screen is a weapon, right? Because
Despawn ninjutsu.
so I know when they code for the
Despawn
NES, if
jutsu.
there's like too much crap on the screen, you get slowdown. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but I don't feel like this game slows down the way that other NES titles do when there's like 5 or 6 enemies on the
Yeah,
screen.
I don't think I've noticed any slowdown really.
I think it has something to do with that, where like the edge of the screen is the absolute barrier of life and death. That like as soon as something leaves the screen, it's just dead.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
it becomes a weapon where like you're using it to despawn tricky enemies sometimes, and it's like, or like my favorite would be a bird would like fly by, I'd jump over him, and then I would backtrack just a little, and it would be just enough to like drag the screen back to just kill the bird, and then I would just keep going.
Yep. I did a bunch of that these last 2 weeks. There's one place in 5.2 where they have one of those cross-throwing
I
guys.
call him Hammer Bro number 1.
I was calling him Piccolo because he's green and he has the white, like, the white garb.
Hammer Piccolo.
So, yeah. There's him and a bat and a bird. And so
The combo.
when you try and jump towards him, another bird flies out. So what I had been doing is despawning him on the edge of the screen and then dealing with the bat and the bird. And then when you jump across the 2 platforms, you have to swing and hit the bird that spawns. And you need to know the timing because it's not reflex.
Yeah.
See, and the game's kind of a puzzle like that. It's a puzzle platformer, right? Because you got to kind of figure out what's the best way to tackle these obstacles. And I'll tell you that I watched, I think his name is Arcus. He wears a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speed run this thing. And what I learned from that was that the safest thing you can do in this game is just hold the forward button. Like don't try to play footsies and go back and forth, right? Like you gotta keep going, and it's the safest you can be, and just figure out when to jump and when to slash, and that's like 90% of the game. There are some tricky parts, but yeah.
Every enemy that has a ranged attack won't do it for about 2 seconds after they spawn. So it gives you time to run up and hit them because you're that fast.
Yeah, and if you hesitate, you will die, or you'll end up in situations like we talked about in that 5th level with that weird machine gun guy with the uncrossable gap.
Right.
They put him in a couple good places.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, he's a jerk. I hate him.
Well, you can backtrack a little bit too. Like say what Steve was saying of like if they throw a couple crosses and whatnot and you just don't like that setup, you can actually like run backwards and just reset the whole scenario. Just so like you can spawn him over again and then you get that 2-second leeway to like actually attack him and kill him.
Yeah, you can and you should cheese this game, basically. Yeah. And you shouldn't feel bad about it.
No, you shouldn't.
If it's not readily apparent already, this game is NES hard. Like through and through. I think it's one of the reasons that NES hard was invented as a term. I will say though, it's pretty fair in that it gives you unlimited continues.
Yeah.
With one exception, which we will definitely talk about in
Playability.
But,
yeah. I mean, they give you some fair amount of checkpoints too throughout the acts.
Yeah, true. There are a lot of checkpoints too. I mean, the speed run for this game record I think is like 11 minutes or so. So if you really know what you're doing, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the actual like if you let the cutscenes run in succession, it's like 20 minutes long. So like the cutscenes are like longer than the actual gameplay if you're a beast at the game.
And the checkpoints, you know, don't set you too far back, even if you game over, right? Like you just end up because like the stages, there are 6 acts, which and I guess the acts are kind of broken up into stages. They're not as clearly defined as like, you know, Super Mario Brothers, right? Where at the minute you beat a stage, it's like stage 1-1, stage 1-2. Like it'll just happen. You'll just go to the next screen and you'll be in 5-2. And you'll only know if you game over there because it'll bring you back to the beginning of 5-2. And you do see it up at the top on your HUD. But yeah, it's not like if you're not paying attention, you'll like pass, you know, 5 or 6 stages before you realize
You don't even have time to look at that. Yeah. You got too many enemies swarming you.
Yeah. If you're looking at that, you're not playing Ninja Gaiden. Don't even look at your health bar. Yes.
You have to look at the health sometime. There's heals.
What, like
all
one?
in all, a very fair game in terms of the NES catalog. This you know, it has its janky moments, but
yeah, but there's nothing surprising. Like the game just throws at you. Like if you memorize like where everything is, like you get rewarded for it.
Yeah, there's very little RNG.
Right.
The only real RNG.
Jetpack Ninja.
Jetpack ninjas. No, really. Well, and the last boss, but
yeah,
he has different patterns.
Last boss is something.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think as far as difficulty spikes go, I think the game rises in difficulty gradually until level 5. And it's like quite the wake-up call. Like, they really start having no mercy on you as to where they put those enemies. And then level 6 is harder than that. I think proportionately harder, but level 5 is jarring.
We can't let Timmy beat it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that brings us into pacing. Actually, it's a good segue. We were talking about difficulty spikes. First thing I want to say about pacing is I think the story of this game is excellent for the time.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
When you're comparing it to, you know, princesses getting kidnapped and evil scientists making killer robots, you know, I mean, this is like Academy Award film here.
Well, especially
there's like turning points and like surprises in the story and like a grand adventure with the, you know, you're traveling around the world. Like there's a lot.
Well, yeah. Well, especially like with the opening cutscene too, with like Ryu's father versus like the unidentified ninja, and
like how cool would this have been in the 80s when like your only games at home were like Super C, guys jumping out of a helicopter, you know, without shirts, just shooting guns, and then you had this. Like,
yeah. But like even back then, it like got you hooked because it's like Ryu gets like a note from his father, basically saying like if you get this note, then I'm pretty much dead, and you know, then you have to find like this archaeologist, and you know, but like he goes on this whole quest to like for revenge of his father, and it makes you want to know.
The CIA's involved.
Yeah,
and like...
it makes you want to know who killed his father.
The story makes you want to keep playing. Like you get those little cutscenes. The cutscenes also have awesome soundtracks, by the way. I think the best songs might be in the cutscenes, and you just want to keep going, like because you want to get to the next cutscene because you want to know what happened. Right. I don't know. It's really got a magnetic kind of pull to make you want to finish the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Which makes the difficulty spike all that more frustrating.
Yeah, and the pacing for the levels, like Don was saying, the difficulty gets gradually harder, and once you hit like 5, yeah, I'd say that's also the part where I would probably die the most. 5 and 6.
Oh yeah, easily.
But when you're running through a level, just like I know I was talking about it, but it's like there isn't a lot of better feelings than like running and landing a jump slash and still running and like dodging enemies perfectly, like, and it feels like you're rushing to find the demon statue. It feels like you're actually like, I don't, how do I explain how exciting it feels like when you get good at it? Like the better you get at it, the more
it's more fluid,
exciting it is.
More
it's
exciting
just,
and more fluid. Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
the game doesn't have things like, you know, enemies that are just damage sponges that block your way. Like it doesn't ever hold you up. Like it will stop you because it's difficult, but once you know how to get past it, like level 5 takes you as long as, you know, pretty much any other level, and so does level 6. You just have to know how to get past the obstacles.
Right. Which
but
is
like
the
there's
birds.
no enemies that's just gonna like sit there and block your way and waste your time. Like you know, once you figured it out, you got it.
Right.
Yeah, this game's pacing is incredibly good.
Yeah, I feel like part of the reason why like the difficulty jumps on like 5 and up is because that's when they like really start spamming those birds at you. Like you get a taste of it in 3, but like as soon as like 5 and 6, like they just throw them at you relentlessly. And I also want to say, why does such a little enemy like that that's super mobile do 3 bars of health? That's absurd.
And it homes in on you.
Yeah.
Right? You have a jetpack ninja throwing ninja stars at you. That's 1 damage. You have a guy with a machine gun shooting at you. That's 1 damage. You have a bird. That's 3. Like, what does this bird do to you?
Especially if there's especially if there's multiple on the screen. Like if you get juggled like 4 times between them, you're dead. Like that's all it takes, and it's easy. Like the me germs on like some of the enemies in this game is like ridiculous. It's like once they stick on you, you're in for a ride.
I like me germs as the term for when enemies touch you, it hurts you.
What? Some of them are the flea man guys.
Yeah, or the boxers.
That, like, punch down and the boxers and the little coiled up demon guys that jump.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Are we doing this? Are we doing our enemy roundup right now? Because you know
we're just talking about me germs enemies.
You know, we've got you know, biker gang members, boxers. We've got 3 kinds of Hammer Brothers. We've got dogs. We've got cats. We've got people that act like dogs. We've got soldiers with guns, soldiers that run, soldiers with Langoliers for heads. We've got ninjas. We've got ninjas with jetpacks. And then, of course, we cannot forget the birds, right?
Yeah. There's
and
a lot
the
of variety.
bosses.
A lot of variety of enemies in this game. For only 6 acts, it's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, and they use them all to full effect.
Yep.
Dude, this falls into presentation.
It's okay. I'll let it slide.
But they reskin the cats in that one small jungle area to be like leopards.
The leopards are in Act 5 too, because that one that runs across the gap. It took me a little while.
Well, I guess you're still in the Amazon, but they're not very common later on. But there's like 4 of them in that small little like jungle level.
There's a couple of reskins, but
yeah.
But
I just thought it was a cool detail.
Yeah. I like that there's a good amount of bosses. There's 6 bosses total, I guess. But the final boss has 3 forms, but it's actually 3 different characters if you're paying attention to the cutscenes.
Yep, it is.
So it is kind of like 3 bosses, I'd say uniquely, because they're divided up by dialogue and cutscenes. Where you fight your father in a mask, and you fight
fight him.
What is his name? Jakao or whatever?
The
Jockio, I think, or Hakio or whatever. I don't know. And then you fight the demon itself, right?
Looks like a xenomorph, kind of.
He actually has a name too.
So satisfying.
Well, he has a name too.
When you beat that thing, you're like, yes. You love watching that castle crumble. It feels very Castlevania. The first time I beat the Cookie Monster, like it felt. It felt just like that.
There's one thing I want to point out with like that temple where it's like I think Walter Smith says it, where it's like this temple's like extremely hidden, and it's been hidden for a long time. But like you see a cutscene where Ryu's on like a rock, and it's like literally out in the open skies.
With the so he God, there's so many characters too, right? There's Ryu. There's the girl that shoots him. She has a name, right? Did they give her a name?
Irene, yeah, Irene
Yep.
is her name.
Irene, right? And then there's that guy Smith, and then he ends up dying. And then there's the CIA agents that make you like do their bidding,
Yeah.
basically. And they're not the bad guys, but they're shady characters too. And then
Mouth.
Irene works for the CIA, and she was sent to kidnap you originally, but then like at the end of the game you beat him, and for some reason Ryu knows too much. And she's told to kill him. Like, God, there's just so much going on here.
Yeah.
And like Ryu's father is not dead, but you fight the guy who fought Ryu's father, and it's God, wow. What a journey.
Yeah.
And I know it's only 20 minutes long, but if you are beating this game for the first time, it's going to take you like 3 hours. So it feels
Yeah, it's
longer
got
than
more
that.
story than Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
At
I was
least
surprised.
at least more twists and turns, right? And then like somehow Ryu falls in love with Irene, which is like or maybe not. Maybe falls in love is the wrong way to say it. But
Oh, no, he
definitely-
does. He says, I have the greatest treasure or whatever, and it's you.
Oh yeah, he says he takes his payment in 2 parts.
Yeah.
The first part is vengeance.
Yeah, I remember that.
So ninja.
It's so good. Yeah, so the pacing, I don't think there's a better example of an NES game with good pacing. I think it's a masterclass in pacing.
I mean, maybe, but like there is a couple road bumps, especially like if we're talking about like the last couple bosses. If you
okay. I know what Dan's talking
yeah,
about.
oh
That's,
yeah,
that's just difficulty.
So every time you game over, you go back to the last checkpoint throughout the whole game, right? So if you're on stage 5-3 and 5-3 has the boss, and you die on the boss, you go back to the beginning of 5-3, and that's the way you're treated the whole game.
yeah.
So you get to the final boss. He's got 3 forms. You've never seen them before. This is a really hard game. You're gonna lose,
Yeah.
all right? But when you lose, it doesn't send you back to the beginning of 6-3. It sends you all the way back to 6-1.
Mind you, even if you have multiple lives still, it does not matter. If you die even once, it sends you back to 6-1 on any of the forms.
And to make matters better and worse, once you make it back to the boss, so that like Don said, there's 3 parts. If you've beaten the first form, when you get back, it puts you right into the second form again.
Yeah.
The problem is they don't heal you this time.
Right.
So if you make it through that room for second phase boss again, and you have only half health, they don't heal you. You're at half health for this boss.
And let's be honest, like you're gonna be hurt when getting into that room.
I mean, if you've only fought the boss once and you got destroyed, which is how it's going to happen the first time, believe me, you're likely not going to beat it the second time either.
Especially at a handicap.
Yeah, what's going to happen is you're going to get sent back to 6-3, and then you're going to die in 6-3 several more times before you get back to the boss. And then you're going to struggle yourself back to the boss with like 1 hit left, and then you're going to go up against the boss you've only fought twice more and try not to get hit like once. Like it's something.
Yeah, the final screens they're no jokes. Like
Yeah, no, it feels great when you beat it. You're like on top of the world when you beat this thing.
Yeah.
The last
Oh,
room
man.
is not that
Basic.
bad.
Well, yeah, you've played this game like 100 times, so of course it's not bad for you.
The 2 screens after the bridge, the one we were talking about with the bird and the guy throwing the things and the bat and that's the worst screen in the game. It's so hard. You have to cheese it.
Yeah, but like just getting to that, like to the boss rooms with a full life bar is a feat in itself. Like, good luck.
Yeah, it's hard.
So I think that's pretty much all I have to say about pacing. I want to talk about how the game looks. And I think for 1989 it looks great. it's an arcade port. I kind of looked at some screenshots of the arcade. I think the arcade looks marginally better, but not a whole lot.
I thought it was amazing that they had like the mouths moving and like the in the cutscenes, like actual like animated sprite work.
Yeah.
Like,
yep. I'm just gonna come out and say I think this is one of the best looking games on the entire system.
Yeah, I would go to say yeah for sure. Like, yeah, the cutscene work is amazing in this game. Like, I'm surprised they had the memory to do it. Like, to be honest with you.
Yeah, to just have like real cutscenes, which is what this game has. Like, it's not like the Miss Pac-Man cutscenes, you know, where like they're chasing each other around. These are like legit heavy dialogue, you know, cutscenes.
Movement. The ninja like steals the demon statue and jumps up. Ha ha ha!
It really gets you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, and you know, we already talked a little bit about the enemies, but there's so many sprites. There's tons of sprites in this game.
Yeah, and the backgrounds aren't insane, but they have background work and foreground work. I mean, you can tell you're in a city, and then you're in like some warehouse, and then you're in like
the Amazon, well,
it looks like Alaska almost.
Right.
You're in the clouds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, I don't know. It looks like you're at a lake house or whatever, and then it turns into snow, so it feels like Alaska to me.
Yeah, I think you're actually scaling a snowy mountain in that act.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought you were in
caves
the clouds.
and
Like
towers and castle. Like, I don't know. The only parts that didn't really like fit for me is like after the like you're climbing the side of the mountain or whatever. I guess it goes from a mine shaft to a warehouse looking place, and it feels like it should be more like castle like. And then you come out on the side of the mountain.
Yeah.
And then you climb more, and it's like ruins, but like I guess maybe they were excavating. I don't know. It feels kind of weird at that spot, but other than that, you know, it feels really cohesive in the journey.
And the music fits.
Yeah,
like it's pretty good. I don't think it's like it ranks up there with like the highest echelons. There are a couple of really good banger soundtracks, and like I said, some of the underrated ones are during the cutscenes. But the music, I'd say, is pretty good. Like, you definitely catch yourself listening to it.
Yeah, it's definitely above average.
Yeah, it's high tier.
Yeah,
it's not S tier, but it's high tier
for sure.
Like,
and there's that one song, you know the one, Steve. What's the name of it?
The one on 4-2, Unbreakable Determination in the mine shaft.
I'm sorry, what's it called again? Say it one more time.
Unbreakable Determination.
Yeah, Unbreakable Determination. That really defines the game. Like, go crank that up,
dude. And it's such a pivotal moment. It's right after the castle appears, and he sees it up on the mountain ledge, and he's like, "All right, I got this." And then that song plays, and it's so good. Like,
even the chiptune
so
version
good.
is good, but there are instrumental versions out there that are also really good. But like just the chiptune sticks with you. Like, it's excellent.
Yeah, I was listening all last 2 weeks. You know, every now and then, maybe every other day, I'd put on some Vomitron. He does metal covers of video game stuff. I was listening to his Ninja Gaiden Acts 1 through 3 and 4 through 6, and I was having a good time.
Yeah,
I also like the like impact of the sound effects too. Like every time you hit something.
Yeah.
Like,
there's explosions.
Nice and crunchy.
Or what about like when he actually gets hit himself, where it goes doo?
No, I hate that sound.
Yeah, but it's funny because when you start getting juggled, that's all you hear. You hear doo doo doo.
You're used to hearing that. You're gonna hear that a lot if you play this game.
I actually like Ryu's look too, but you guys notice that this guy is actually barefoot. Like I wouldn't be caught dead in any city of America with no shoes on. Like, this guy is a beast.
He might have those like samurai shoes, the clogs.
No, because like when it shows like, you know, ready for Act 1, and it shows him like in the
Yeah, he's totally barefoot.
yeah, he's barefoot. You can see his ankles. Like,
And he has baby face, too.
Well, yeah, but at least his hair isn't as big as Irene's.
Yeah, Irene's got like some kind of animal on her head. She has like
An
the woman
entire
mullet.
weasel.
She has like the female mullet from like back in the day.
Yeah, and that was popular in the 80s, I'm sure.
Yes. If you were a dude, you had 10% up front and 100 in back, but she has like 20 or 30 up front.
She's definitely party in the front, business in the back. It's like the reverse mullet.
Yeah. It's something.
Hey,
To each their
not
own.
enough to fall in love with for somebody as prolific as Ryu Hayabusa.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, all the bosses I'd say look pretty good. They all have unique sprites and unique animations. They're a little choppy, but what do you expect at this point with those cutscenes, fluid motion and everything?
Yeah, I think that the boss designs are just okay.
I think my only gripe with the presentation is, and we touched on it a little bit, it's not exactly clear that you can jump on every wall that's vertical until it happens to you, and you end up trapped and die because of it, and that feels pretty bad. And I'd say that that's a visual flaw. Because honestly, there's some spaces where those walls they really have no business being.
Yeah, no, I've fallen for that trap, where it's
Yeah.
like I'll be like, literally, like, because it's in the background, I'm not paying attention to it. I'll try to jump over an enemy, but like he's like right up against like a wall in the background, and I end up clinging to it, and I'm like, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Get off the wall, Ryu.
And you know what? This could loosely be considered presentation, but where there's ladders, right? And you gotta like climb down or climb up to the next screen. In instances where you have to climb down, if you don't grab that ladder and climb down, and you just jump down the hole where the ladder is, where you're going anyway, you die.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's more of a gameplay thing, but
it's unfortunate.
while we're airing our grievances here,
There's no fall damage, but there's death zones.
yeah, you
In
die
places
from
you're supposed to climb
hits
down.
way more often than you die from anything else. All right,
Yeah.
so I'd say game looks good.
Yeah.
Want to
Absolutely.
move on to playability, guys?
Yeah.
So, believe it or not, there's no modern port of these games. The most modern port, I think, was on Xbox.
I think it's on the Switch Online.
Is it?
Yeah, I wouldn't be
looked,
surprised.
And I didn't see it. Hold on.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I feel like I have to look that up because I was looking for that specifically.
I'll be shocked if it's not on there.
Yeah, it's on Switch Online.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. There it is. Great.
Available to anybody that has a Switch and wants to pay $3.99 a month.
Oh, good. So that is that I think is the only place you can play a modern version of it. The most recent modern version, other than that, was the Wii or the 3DS. So it's kind of been out there.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised that there's no like Steam collection of it, because there's like a Castlevania retro collection and a Contra retro collection.
Right, yeah, because it's part of a trilogy on the NES. So I'm
Yeah,
surprised they
well,
haven't bundled that up.
There were 5 games before '91. So there were the NES titles. There's a Super NES title, and there's a Game Gear title, and there's a Game Boy title. Like there's tons of them. So I think there's space for that. And there is a collection out there, but it's the 3 modern games. Not
Right.
Well, I say modern for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2008 was the first one.
But the good news is, if you want to get a cartridge, it'll cost you only like $10 to $15. These things are all over the place, which is pretty good.
It's such a good thing to add to your collection for only $10.
In fact, I did. Looking at it right now.
Awesome.
You better be careful, because if you're not, a ninja's gonna sneak in and steal it, like the commercial.
I thought he was going to throw it back into my NES. And if you want a cartridge in a box, it'll cost you about $115 to $120.
Ooh.
It's not too terrible.
Yeah, not too bad.
Box.
For an NES game, no.
If you want a graded one in a case, I saw a listing on eBay for $5,000. I'm not sure how legit that is, but that was the most ridiculous one I could find.
Well, I mean, anything graded NES with a box is going to be expensive.
You know, it's funny that what you were mentioning about like the commercials, Steve. You know that commercial with like the kid that's like sneaking around his house so he can go play Ninja Gaiden or Gaiden. That's what I feel like, you know, in my house, you know, with my wife and kid. It's like you gotta slither your way upstairs just, you know, to get a little bit of alone time to sneak up and play some
You're
games.
sitting there playing and your phone goes, "Brrr," and you look at it, it goes, "Where are you?"
Fortunately, if you're good at it, you can beat the game in 11 minutes, you know? So
the fastest I could get it down was like 18 or 19 minutes. I couldn't really get it down to the 13-minute time.
That's pretty good, honestly.
Oh, you know, well, if I manage to get my kid into video games, I'm definitely going to set her up playing Ninja Gaiden and watch her struggle.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to beat this thing in 20 minutes.
You're going to ruin her.
That's a legend.
Kids aren't the same as they used to be. They don't like the challenge anymore. They want simple Candy Crush phone game.
You're grounded.
Mine.
You're grounded. Your punishment is to play Ninja Gaiden.
And Super Mario Brothers 3.
But as far as feeling like a modern game and like there's challenge and like there's reason to go back and play it, I think there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like more so than a lot of NES titles. Steve, talk a little bit about it because you played a ton of this game this week by my account.
It's addicting, yeah.
I couldn't put it down, man. I haven't played this game since 2008 when we lived together as roommates, Don, and we got it on the Switch online. That was the first time I had played it, and I had a lot of fun then. And I ended up beating it on the NES because you had the cartridge at your house, and I hadn't played it since. But I picked it up, and I wasn't like extremely excited when we first announced it. I was like, "Oh, Ninja Gaiden, that was fun." But for some reason, I got so into it the last 2 weeks. I played it constantly, always trying to reduce my death count throughout this like 2 weeks period. I think my first attempt was probably over 100 deaths, but I finally got it down to a single death run.
Yeah.
I kept playing. I couldn't put it down.
I witnessed that run too. I witnessed that run too. I'll explain it a little bit. So, like, what is it, like 5-3? Or it was like one of the, it was near the end.
It's 6-2.
It's 6-2. There's like this single, like, jetpack ninja that, like, flies in your direction. And it hits Steve.
No. He's like part of a swarm.
Well, yeah, this one was by himself. And he hits Steve with, like, a ninja star, knocks him all the way down on the bottom ledge. And then he had another ninja star thrown, and it basically two-tapped Steve into a pit. It was like a perfect scenario of like that ninja is definitely getting promoted.
So when they fly, they throw 3 stars. Yeah. They throw 3 stars at a time, but they're spaced out really close to each other. The first one hit me, and I was falling parallel to the second star at the same speed and same distance away. So as soon as I landed, before I could even input a button, it hit me, and I didn't bounce. Like, it's not like when a force meets an object in space and it pushes it. This thing hit me on the left, and I flinched and bounced to the left, not to the right, where the force is coming from, opposite direction into the pit.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It was sad. If it wasn't for that...
I watched it as a series of very unfortunate events.
If it wasn't for that, man, he would have had a deathless run. So unfortunate.
And I'm just a regular gamer. You guys... listening at home, you guys can do it too, and you should.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve had kind of like a pseudo competition going on in the Discord of who could get the lowest deaths, and he was like updating us all the time.
Yep. He'd be like 7 deaths run, 5 death run, 3 death run. Yeah.
I'm almost there, boys.
Ninja Gaiden.
Unbreakable determination.
Yeah, for sure.
Very, very playable NES title. If being included on the Switch library is any indicator there, but you know, I think our enjoyment of it was better than others.
Yeah.
So,
Seems that way.
I don't know. I had so much fun.
All right, guys. X Factor. Say what you want to say about it. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So, X Factor. Overall, this game's great. It's short, like only 6 acts. I love how like just the game is brutal. Don't get me wrong. Like if you're new to it, but the game is just so fair. Like because it doesn't, like Steve said, there's no RNG. Everything is there when you get there a second time. It just doesn't throw anything crazy at you. So like there's a lot to master if you want to in this game, and you can actually get really good at it. Whether you just want to do like a no death run, like or like a speed run of the game, no hit run, whatever you want. Like the game's so versatile in that way, and the cutscenes are skippable. They're long and so like the game is just fast. Like you can just blaze through it if you want. It kind of just, it's not a roguelike game, but it kind of reminds me of one because it's like you always just want to do better and better, with each subsequent run.
How about you, Don?
I mean, I'm just struck by the whole thing. Like, I did beat it the first time, and I expected not to pick it up again, but I actually picked it up and beat it twice more. The first time I beat it, I used save states to practice the second boss, and then I let him beat me, and then I went back and beat it, the natural way because I'm a broken individual and feel like that matters somehow.
No, I get it.
But
no, self-accomplishments are important, even
honorable.
If there's no, yeah.
And then I picked it up twice more, despite Hades 2 being out, which has definitely started to dominate my gameplay time. And just like the cutscenes, the environment, the bosses, like just all of it, really jives together. And I think it's got some jank. It's definitely not perfect, but I think as far as NES goes, the jank is much lower than your standard fare, I feel. So
yeah, it's a lot of memorization when it comes to this game, and if you can get that down, you can master this game.
Steve?
I don't have a whole lot more to add. I'm just going to say that for me, this isn't my favorite game that we've covered so far on the podcast, but it is my favorite game on the podcast to have revisited. Banjo-Kazooie is still one of my favorite games of all time. However, I play that often. This game, I almost forgot that it was a thing, and coming back to it was such a delight. I had the most fun, even more than Battle Network 3, which I had a bunch of fun on too. This game just it captured me again. It just made me feel like being a kid.
He was pleasantly surprised.
It was a good 2 weeks. I was at work, like singing the songs to myself, and I'm working in a factory right now, and it's like really, really loud. Like you can't hear other people. You have to have hearing in protection, and I was like literally like humming the songs at work
while doing the Naruto run. Don't forget that part.
Yeah, it was a blast.
All right, so you guys ready to move on, and we'll go ahead and conclude this, give our rating for it?
Heck yeah, dude.
So at the end of these episodes, we like to give a rating review for it, and also just kind of say whether or not you should play it. And in the spirit of our Pokemon Scented podcast, we like to say whether we're going to catch it or run away. So if you are looking to this podcast for game referrals, if 2 out of 3 of us say to catch it, you probably ought to give it a shot. And if 2 out of 3 of us say run away, you should probably maybe look elsewhere for your retro game fix. And if all 3 of us say run away, definitely do not play it. Our opinion is the only one that matters here.
Yep.
But we also give a numerical scale rating on whatever we feel.
We read other people's opinions too.
We do. I'm just going to come right out and say I think this is definitely a catch it. I had a really good time. I didn't expect to have as good a time as I did. It was kind of a groan when we pulled it, but yeah, it kind of sucked me in a little bit.
Yeah. Nope. Same for me. It's a catch it for me as well. The whole gameplay loop is just addicting. Like you always want to make the next run better and better, and it just feels rewarding. Like when you memorize this game. And there was actually like we did a poll on the Discord, and I don't know. I was actually a little disappointed with like the outcome because like the three top votes, there was like if this is a great game, and it was just the three of us. And then everyone else was like, no, this game's mid.
We had way more fun than everybody else did with this one, I think.
I think that comes around to explain the kinds of gamers we are. There are a lot of gamers that play games for different reasons, right? And that's kind of one of the great things about video games. But I know all three of us really enjoy a challenge. Some people, it's just not their bag, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess not. And that's perfectly fine.
So, Steve, I'm assuming it's a catch it for you?
Oh, no doubt.
Okay. On to our numerical scale. I've been waiting all episode to reveal this. So, try to find something in the game that is tied to a number, like maybe it's a number of weapons, number of levels, number of Chaos Emeralds to rate the game on. We're going to rate it on the number of times I died on my first playthrough. We're going to rate it out of 111.
Wow.
On a scale of from 0 to 111, what would you give this game, Steve?
Me first?
Yep, you first.
Out of 111.
Yep. It's okay. It's whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter.
Dude, I'm giving this thing like 100 out of 111.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's like a 90%. This game is sweet.
Yeah. I guess for me, there's a couple of janky points in the game. Like I don't like the whole despawn and respawning mechanic. Or in the wall clinging, that kind of like got me too. So like I'm still gonna rate this game high, but I think I'm gonna give it like an 85 deaths out of 111.
Wow. I feel like that should have put you in the mid category, Dan.
I did say it was above average, and I think that is above
Dan
average
only
score.
played it once.
I played it multiple times. I did.
Yeah, actually, funny story. Steve and Dan apparently had some kind of coaching ring going on where they coached, I think Steve coached Dan through the game, and I think they both coached a member of our community through the game as well. Video game lessons. Another good reason to join the Discord at the Gable Club.
If you want to be a Ninja Gaiden master, look us up.
I'm kind of around the same opinion as Dan. Like, the enemy respawning thing is obviously like a naked flaw. I think most people would consider it a problem. I think you surpass it by realizing that you have to move forward constantly, but I would not know that if I didn't watch the speed run. And I think the only reason I was able to beat this game a few times this week was because I watched that speed run and understood that like holding forward is the way 95% of the time.
Yep.
So I can kind of see a lot of the frustration there. I don't like a lot of the traps for the way that they're handled. Like if you miss time an enemy, there's just like no way to get past them. Unless you like use the screen or something janky like that, right? I don't like the jumping on the pillars, so I'm kind of backing into it here. But I think I'm probably like a 95 out of 111, actually. So I'd say it's still pretty high up there.
Yeah.
For games writ large, but yeah.
That means Don, you gave it an 86.
Did. That sounds about right.
What did I give
that's
it?
what we think. But what did you all think? So we ran two polls. We ran a poll on our YouTube and we ran a poll on our Discord. Here are the aggregate numbers. 29% of the vote said that they loved it. Great game. That's the highest that we could rate it. 29% said it was mid. 13% said that they hated it. Bad game. Listen, we go big or we go home around here, right?
Yeah.
You either love it, don't care, or hate it. There's no
there's no in between.
Yeah, no. Can't have that. We can't have that many votes yet. And then 29%, that's right, three-way tie, said they had never played this game, which I find to be wild. I feel like it's one of the ones that, it's one of the ones in the NES catalog. I'd say, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like top 15?
Yeah,
games?
I would say so. I thought it was a staple back then. I've played it a bunch as a kid.
Yeah, maybe
So.
I'm being too generous. I didn't think about it before I said it. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm not sure.
So our next episode, we're going to set Ninja Gaiden aside, unfortunately, or who knows, maybe we'll pick it back up again because it's so quick and snappy. Is going to be a Coliseum episode. We are going to take two games and we are going to put them head to head up against each other. And we ran a YouTube poll to try to figure out which game we should do as a matchup, and the results were some vehicular combat games.
Oh boy.
So for the next couple of weeks, we are going to be playing, comparing, and contrasting Twisted Metal 2 and Vigilante 8, The Second Offense, both for the PlayStation 1 system.
Oh, wow. So I have a lot of experience with Twisted Metal 2. I do not, however, have experience with Vigilante 8. So
This is going to be all new for me.
Yeah.
I've played some Twisted Metal too, but not any Vigilante 8. Oh, Dan, you gave it a 77, by the way.
Yeah, above average.
Ninja Gaiden.
Slightly above average.
So you, dear viewer, find a way to play these games along with us. And if you're in the Discord, we get those gaming couches going, man. I feel like we had gaming couches going most nights this past week. And I know we have a member of the community, Jason Best, who is really trying to get stuff going on those couches. So, if playing retro games together is your jam, it should be the place that you should go. But I think both these games are multiplayer in nature.
Yep.
So, let's try to get on those couches and play a few rounds together.
Absolutely. It'll be a
Sounds
blast.
good.
All right. And then I just wanted to thank our viewers. If you stuck with us this long, make sure you hit the like button. It really gets us jazzed. It's free. And, it really does mean the world to us. Or if you're on a podcast platform, please leave a kind rating and review. Again, that really kind of gets us going, and it's tied to our bonus episodes. And I'm even going to challenge and say, if you are enjoying this, find someone else, tell them about us, and get them to sub too. It's great. And then, and of course, thank you to everyone in our Discord. You guys make this so much more fun than it was when we were doing this without a Discord.
Yeah.
It's so neat to just go in and, yeah.
Best thing we've ever done.
Yeah, we almost felt like we were on a deserted island at first because we didn't have the Discord going.
Yeah.
Just like all of a sudden a ship with people came, and now it's just a party.
Yeah, and it's just, memeing about the games and news and just talking about it. I don't know. It's been a really good time.
Yeah.
I still love the bird. I destroy everything, and he has the E in his mouth.
Yeah, no, it's just great. Especially the whole coaching session with one of the members in Discord. I love seeing that stuff. And like Dawn said, you got something going on almost every night. It's just fun. You just can play games together. Or you don't even have to. You can just sit there and watch and just hang out.
Yep. It's good. All right, fellas. Anything else to add?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Then we'll call that episode a wrap. Game over.
Game over.
Game over.